Welcome to episode 61 of the Triple Takeover Toycast. Fortnightly, we think, podcast about
typically
modern and vintage toy lines, but mostly Transformers. This week, you will be hearing this episode after TF Nation, but we are recording it at around the time where something has dropped online that has caused a little bit of a stir in the Transformers fandom. And while we know that speculating about it now is going to lead to this episode probably being really out of date by the time it lands, we've decided to put a little twist on it. So first things first, I'm joined by my co-host, still somehow. It's Sixo from Sixo and every single social media platform that's ever existed.
Just about. Not TikTok still, or Sixtalk.
And Liam from Toybox Soapbox, who everyone in Nottingham seems to know.
I'm a friendly guy, chatty guy. It's a lot of what hosts.
Mate, you are.
Yeah, you've been really busy and inundated with people messaging you through the Instagram, haven't you?
Oh yeah, I've got some good ones for today. Don't worry.
God damn.
Can't wait.
Oof, the mailbag is full.
Mailbag. Do we need a mailbag jingle?
I just keep getting, you've got mail.
But yes, this episode, 61, has been inspired by the Transformers Missing Link, I hesitate to say reveal. Yeah. So something dropped online a couple of days ago from our recording, which showed two versions of a G1 Optimus Prime toy with articulation. And that seems to be part of something called the Missing Link series, which for a lot of people is a bit of a dream come true. It's like Masterpiece, but G1.
Is.
Yeah, pretty close. I mean, yeah. I don't think I knew how much I wanted it until I saw the images. And this comes off the back of a number of episodes now and discussions online about retro Transformers the Movie 1986 reissues and talking to Hasbro, where we've talked about the fact that a lot of molds of G1 are no longer accessible. So there's just some G1 toys which we'll never see reissued. So this was a particularly significant thing that popped up because the first thing that popped into my mind was, does this mean we're going to get all those molds that have been lost or are inaccessible, and now Takara and maybe Hasbro can make a decent enough financial return on a series to make it worthwhile to retool molds or tool them from scratch, you know, the way the KO companies have done. But before we get into it, apologies if by the time this goes out, it all turns out to be a hoax.
Might well do, yeah.
Right. But this is our opportunity to talk about reveals like this and talk about speculation that immediately surrounds a leak like this and how the fandom and community and how we react to something like this in the hobby and what makes it so fascinating to learn things that may or may not happen this way.
Yeah, it's more about the nature of the reveal than it is about the reveal itself, isn't it, in this case? Yeah. So we kind of feel like even if this discussion is out of date by the time it actually lands, it's still relevant, I think, and slightly evergreen.
This is absolutely not an excuse just in case it's very out of date by the time this episode lands.
Oh, no, not at all.
Absolutely.
This is absolutely not a last-minute right turn on what we were going to record.
No, not at all.
Tonight.
Not at all.
Having said that,
yeah.
So where we are right now in the timeline is the Optimus Prime images dropped a couple of days ago, and it was really big news. And I know I just posted the pictures that had already been posted by TFW and other outlets, and I think it's already my most popular tweet of the last decade. And this is a time when everyone is leaving Twitter. I refuse to call it the new name. Still, that shows you how much hunger there is for this. And just today, images of a potential Megatron surfaced, same style, with enough tells on it to make you think that's clearly a hoax. Someone's now having a laugh with this. But again, that's not the point. And Sixo, of course, has already written an article about all the potential characters.
3 parts.
Yeah, per year.
It was 1 part, thank you.
So far. We'll need the midweek update on the developments, won't we?
Yeah.
Maybe by the time this episode actually launches, I might have written another 3 parts. You'll have to
a 3-part, 50 tweets about this fake Megatron that you absolutely have to see.
As we're talking, his Siri is just annotating his next article.
Oh, it is, absolutely. Yeah. You won't believe number 7.
Right. But yeah, so before we fully get into the topic at hand, we have a sponsor for this episode.
We do, yes. That is tfsource.com, who you can check out for your Transformers and third-party needs. Maybe they'll even have this thing in stock by the time we launch this episode. We don't know. No. But yeah, they do have a lot of Transformers toys on there, and we'll do a longer segment on them in the middle of the pod, as ever.
We also have a Patreon at patreon.com/triple takeover, which gives you an avalanche of perks. Depending on what level you sign up at, you're listening to this early, so it'll just be slightly less out of date than for everybody else. Or you can vote on episode topics. You can join our fantastic Discord. And this is landing post TF Nation, so we're hoping that the panel that we've done at TF Nation...
Oh, it's brilliant. Brilliant.
Fantastic, wasn't it?
Went so well.
Best day of our lives.
Even better than last year.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I still can't believe what you did on stage, Matt. I'm still
doing it.
What, right now?
This instant.
I haven't stopped since the panel.
No.
Yeah, repeated.
So if you want a piece of that on Discord, you can join us. And also we have weekly exclusive content on Patreon if you sign up at the highest level. That includes mini-sodes, such as various topics of 1987, a real focus on those toys after our main episode on 1987, last episode, or mini-series, which can be about Unicorn Trilogy, or IDW More Than Meets the Eye, or whatever Liam found at the bottom of a tin under his collection this week. Oh, speaking of which, I actually saw some Bionic 6 toys in hand at the Space Bridge store when I visited last week. I don't know how kids didn't hurt themselves with those, or other people.
I told you it's a die-cast metal, and they're made of clear plastic. It's all of like the danger signs.
It was crazy. But yeah, if you want more of that, patreon.com/triple takeover. Loads of perks, loads of benefits, and loads of content that is building all the time. So check it out.
I got to tell you something real quick. A friend of mine the other day, another parent that whose kid goes to school with mine. We were chatting away, and I was talking about the podcast, and I was saying, and my mate, he does this series on obscure toys from like the 1980s, 1990s, that kind of stuff. And she's like, oh, where does he find out about them from? And I sort of just talking about it. She's like, wow, he sounds really dedicated. And I was like, yeah.
Wow.
That's one word for it.
Yeah.
That's generous.
I think that's the first time that word's been used around me. So
yeah. Dedication.
Dedication's what you need.
Yeah. Well, you're dedicated to being the way that you are.
Yes.
There we go.
Firmly committed to it.
Right.
So, and do you know what else I'm dedicated to? Our Redbubble store. And by an astonishing stroke of coincidence that you couldn't have foreseen at all, we had another message through the Instagram.
No.
Yeah, and this one was a very presidential sounding message from our good pal Abraham from Lincoln. He said, I've been on your Redbubble and I bought a Omnibot glove box t-shirt. He said, I thought it was great. Why don't you, do some more cool designs? I was like, dude, just scroll down because we've got rats and cats. We've got Sixo's butlers. There's the other Omnibots. You can get it on a t-shirt. You can get it on a coffee mug and all sorts of other stuff. And you can find it, if you're interested, redbubble.com/people/triple takeover /explore.
Explore.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening, Abraham.
It's just getting worse and worse every fortnight.
I love Fortnite.
We know.
I've got Optimus Prime now. I've almost got the battle damage version.
I still don't know what it is. Is it a computer game?
It's a computer game.
Right,
yes.
Yeah, okay. People keep talking about Fortnite because it's got Optimus Prime in it now, and I'm like, don't know, man. Don't know.
But now I am like Optimus Prime from the films because I'm all murder happy. Like the other night when we were recording, I was just going to play it for 10 minutes. I tried to die, but I just kept charging people and just killing them. And I assume it's all 14-year-old children as well. It's just seeing Optimus Prime rampaging around with a shotgun. It's like, this is what Michael Bay's all on about. I see it now.
It's dedication.
It's got to change with the times, It's got to change with the times.
Exactly.
As we mentioned earlier, something dropped online just the other week. I think it was on Weibo that it debuted, and they were small, blurry pictures of two versions of G1 Optimus Prime. One was just a cab, and it seemed to be cartoon colors if you looked at the robot mode in his eyes. And the other one was, it looked like the G1 Optimus Prime toy with the trailer and grey roller and all that kind of stuff with the gun. And of course, then it had they both had articulated robot modes. And it seemed to be called Missing Link. For me, it was one of those things that I didn't know I wanted until I saw it. And then I just thought this could be the most significant collector-aimed Transformers line of the last 2 or 3 decades. Because if it is a series and it is a line, well, where do the possibilities end?
It immediately opens the floodgates, doesn't it? Because, you mentioned the retro line, Maz, and this was one thing I thought was that we've spent fair bit of time now discussing the retro line, and I still love it, don't get me wrong.
Yep.
But we're all kind of aware of its sort of finite nature almost, of like the goalposts that are fairly sort of narrow. Yeah, exactly. Because
we know what characters are available.
Exactly.
Roughly.
We know that certain molds are never going to happen. We know that we're not going to get our big wish list, and as much as we can sit here being like, wouldn't it be amazing if we got this character and this character and this character, it's simply not going to be the reality, short of Hasbro or Takara re-engineering these molds from scratch, or kind of whatever. But this now, the idea that actually they would make wholly new molds in a G1 style, it just opens the door. Suddenly everything is possible.
It's all on the table. Everything you can think of.
It really is.
And if we think about how it was revealed, it's these little blurry pictures. And we've gotten a little bit used to these kind of things actually turning out to be real, haven't we? So the most recent examples were the yellow Masterpiece Trailbreaker.
Yeah.
What else was revealed alongside
it? The toyetic Masterpiece Prime.
That's right. Okay, MP44, the toy version.
Yes.
So, and of course, they've now been officially announced, and it wasn't that far down the road. And this particular reveal, I hesitate to call it that, has a 9th of August date on it. So maybe that's another week away still. So a week from now, we might know exactly what that is, or we'll look a bit silly. But we immediately took that as, right, this is probably going to happen. We're being hesitant to believe it because it's almost too good to be true. But the format in which it was revealed is very similar to other things that have been revealed recently.
Yeah.
So that's helped its credibility with us, at least. And we're supposed to be, old and cynical. So
Supposed to be.
Some of us are. But you're right, though. There has been a steady stream of these sorts of reveals now from the Takara side. I mean, virtually every Masterpiece Trainbot has been revealed in this fashion, with these blurry images, soon followed by official photography. They've always got these stamps over the front of them. There's a lot about this that makes sense. The one thing that this doesn't have, that the previous sort of iterations of this kind of reveal have had, if you like, is the Transformers logo or something kind of official. This has just got Missing Link. So that's a strange thing. But otherwise, it looks very legit, the Optimus anyway.
Why do we trust the Weibo account that it came from?
That is a good question. I don't know, is the honest answer.
I'm wondering if it's had a history of revealing things. I think if it had a history of revealing things that did get released, I feel like there'd be far more belief in this actually happening. So I'm guessing that the source is not one that we are used to getting this from. But that's just speculation on my behalf.
I think there's a certain amount to which, looking at the images, I mean, they're blurry, but they're fairly clear. And there's an extent to which, if this is not a new mold, what is it? Because it's clearly not a G1 Prime is the thing, and it doesn't look particularly photoshopped. Like, there are elements to this that look like an actual physical toy, and there are sort of details that I think if you were going to Photoshop this, you wouldn't incorporate. Kind of quite small details. And like with the Megatron, for example, that has been pretty conclusively outed as a fake, you
Debunked.
can sort of see it's been debunked. Yeah, there we go. That you can sort of tell it's the G1 toy photoshopped. And for example, like the little mace accessory, the sort of energy mace, the purple thing that it comes with, someone's already found the image of the third party toy that's been copied from. Stuff like that. So quickly, it's like debunked. But that hasn't happened with the Optimus.
No, and I'm trying to think what it is about it that makes me think, oh, this is a thing that's happening. Because the 40th anniversary is next year. This would totally be the kind of thing that would launch a big anniversary like that. I mean, if you think about for the 20th, we had Masterpiece, and at that time, that was an unthinkable thing that was happening. This would very much be the same. Although it makes me laugh because then we realize that Takara will have us on hooks until our 60s and 70s before we get the character we're maybe waiting for. But yeah, and it's not just G1 Optimus Prime with ankles and this and that. There are slight differences. For example, the fists don't seem to be detachable. They're not shown as an accessory. They are integrated into the toy. So there's obviously some degree of updating based on more modern toy technology and habits that they're going to incorporate into this.
Yeah.
This is the thing, is looking at a lot of the little details that aren't standout stuff, like where you look at hinges and stuff and you can see they're different. That's the thing that makes me think it's real, because they're not. If it was just a Photoshop or someone with a custom toy, those things would still be the same, wouldn't they? Like the shoulders, and it's clearly very different, and you can see stuff like sort of through the sides that's not picked out by the photo. That there'd be no point for them to do because you wouldn't know what they are. And there's stuff like that. But yeah, the hands is the thing that really stands out to me. Like they must tuck in behind the grill, because you can see in one of the photos there's a small crease that looks like where it must open up so they can flip inwards.
I had wondered the same, I must admit, if they sort of slot into the side of the body somehow.
You can see the lights are still chromed on the truck mode, but in the robot mode, you can see they're red, where they would be, where the fist would plug in. And they're articulated hands as well.
Yeah, they are. You can see that quite clearly in one of the pictures, can't you?
They finally fixed the gun. You can finally hold the gun straight.
Yeah.
All these years later.
But, the ankles as well, if you look at the insides of the legs, you can see that the ankles are very differently molded to anything on the original G1 Prime. And like you're saying, it just makes me think this is a legit physical item that's been photographed. Sure, okay. It's certainly possible that it's digital or something, I don't know, or it's a custom. But why? Why go to that much trouble when, as we've seen with the Megatron, you could just take the original toy and Photoshop it? It's too elaborate to be a prank.
But that's what we're doing, isn't it? We're analysing it to that degree in order to lend credibility to it or debunk it so we can manage our expectations, because, there's enough disappointment in this hobby with things we think we're going to get and then we don't, and how they turn out. So I'm not doing a lot of that research myself. I'm not taking that responsibility, but others are, and all the points that you're mentioning that lend credibility to this are building my excitement for it. Yeah. And I think most of us are in a position where we want to be excited for this. Yeah, we're being cautious about it, but we want to be excited. Of course, you get dissenting voices who say, we're getting far too much G1 as it is. But this looks really collector aimed to me, and this looks anniversary themed to me. I don't think anyone needs to worry about the philosophy of Hasbro and Generations and that kind of exploration of the different eras of Transformers history being affected by this, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That really bugs me, to be honest. That discourse I've seen, because people don't have to buy it. They don't even have to look at it or follow it. It's not the only Transformers product coming out. If the Transformers was just one toy line and this was taking it over, I'd understand. But there are like 75 different ones out at any time, and
that's
most
fair.
of them, even like Generations now, has moved away from G1. Because I was thinking the other day, I'm barely buying anything from it because there's nothing for me. It's great. It's actually really good because it's giving me money back to go and spend on vintage stuff. But then this is fantastic seeing this. And it's just like, if you don't like it, that's fine. But it's not too much G1. It's just, there's lots of Transformers and there's something for everyone now.
I think there's clearly, the point is there clearly is an appetite for it. Because like you were saying, Maz, as soon as this was tweeted out, it's been popping off. Honestly, everybody is like, whoa. So you do then kind of feel, when you see this small group of dissenting voices that are like, more G1, it's kind of like, but if there are the sort of vast majority of people that want to see something like this, then surely you can just kind of take a step to one side and just think, well, it's not for me, but cool.
Yeah. But I'd understand why they wouldn't want more of that. I get it. And the worry being.
Absolutely.
But if a huge majority do want it and then buy it, I mean, that can only be good for Transformers generally.
Very true.
Which, again, like the movies, which you may not like, will lead to more product. I mean, look where we are. We're getting to a point in Legacy where we're going to get a Legacy strong arm. And I think that's amazing. I know some people are unhappy with the figure, but I can't wait to buy the RID strong arm in Legacy. That is a dead cert purchase for me.
And can you imagine if this is really successful? One of the things it puts on the table, it's not just reissues of G1 toys either. If this sort of thing is successful, as you've seen with Legacy and other stuff, and like the reissues, they've ventured into Beast Wars now and stuff, and you're like, well, what if they start looking at Armada toys and going, give them hips, the stuff that never had it, and down the line in the future? He is putting on the table that they are going back to vintage toys and redoing them as they were, but with articulation that you would like. That's now a concept that's never really existed, has it? I don't think we've had that before.
Well, people have cited a lot of like He-Man Origins and things like that.
Oh yeah, sorry. I mean with
other...
because I
you're
buy
right
those,
with
so,
Transformers.
You know what I mean? Yeah,
exactly. So with Transformers, we've more likely had like a reimagining or something like that. But even if this is a hoax, I mean, do you remember when we were talking to B-Mac and someone said that they were looking at a post where someone had done a digibash and then they've gone back to their marketing and saying, look how many people want this. This is blown up. Yeah. If anything, even the social media response in the last 2 days would demonstrate, and this is in every forum I'm a part of, every area that I interact with Transformers fans, there is genuine excitement and like gasping for, please let this be real. That can't go unnoticed.
You would think not, wouldn't you?
No.
I have to say that it was interesting to hear how much the Hasbro team scour the interwebs. I think years ago we all felt like the big two companies were kind of slightly disconnected from the fandom in a way. It always felt like they were sort of sat we were all chatting about this stuff online and whatever, and they were not really kind of part of that. And I think it's been a revelation actually to realize how much they are looking. I mean, B-Mac said he's on the internet every night, just looking at what people are posting and talking about and reactions to stuff and everything. And, it makes sense. It's not a shock, but it's intriguing to think that actually, they are looking at the digibashes. They are looking at the kind of stuff people are making digitally and basing their decisions on that and using that as justification for potential new toys. This could absolutely lead to a real thing if indeed it's not real already.
Yeah, there's been a lot of comments that I've seen on my socials that people... Yes, there are some people who are apprehensive because of what it might cost, because if you're looking at just the TFTM reissues, again, I posted pictures of Perceptor and Kickback and Skywarp recently, and I'm constantly surprised by how many people cite cost as... Liam's just holding up his TFTM Perceptor.
Today's absolutely gorgeous.
Handling his scope. It's price is a thing that price is a problem for people, even on those reissues. And while that surprises me, and I always counter with, but go and buy a vintage and see how much that costs. And the fact that we're getting these with new decos that are relevant and something we've never had and is actually quite wonderful, I'll take it all day long. But that's because it's my area of interest. But people have been talking about the cost of these. Yeah. And even though I've had a few comments like that, on the whole, I think people are like, yeah, okay, maybe an articulated G1 Optimus Prime would be £100, £150. I'm still in. And you know what? I would be too.
Yeah. It's such a special thing.
Yeah. There's no way I wouldn't get it. I mean, that does sound pretty horrific in terms of price. Let's not, let's not quibble it. But I'd still be in, man. I think this
How much was the reissue of Optimus Prime just as a cab? Because that was on these shores, that was quite expensive.
$50 it was, I think, initially.
They didn't include the trailer anymore, do they?
Yeah,
no, and that's just 50 for that. And if you think about it, they have to rebuild the trailer, and it's articulated. It probably has new features as well. Prime's cab is articulated, and they kind of have to recoup a lot of costs on that. If the Diaclone line is anything to go by, they had to do loads of recolors and retools and tiny releases to basically prove to the bosses that this is something that can sustain itself and we will continue and do bigger things. And I wonder if, of course they have to launch with Convoy. Yeah, that is the acid test here.
What just popped into my head though is just imagine the repaint, the Battle Convoy, the Diaclone, which they were bound to do now.
That's the funny thing with this actually is that it's not even so much about the the molds that they could make, the characters that they could make. It is about the recolors as well. Yeah. Because let's say you do, like I've seen a lot of people immediately mentioning Dinobots, for example. So like a G1 Grimlock in fully articulated style, great. So that is something I think a lot of people would be excited to see. But then how many repaint potentials have you got out of that? You've got the blue one, the turquoise one, you've got the tiger stripe one now, shattered glass even. And all right, some of these are not necessarily Takara led, but it puts it out there as something that could happen.
That's what we're doing, though, isn't it? We are taking this very blurry image and we are building this magical world for ourselves
Hopes and
we
dreams.
are all getting far too attached to.
Well, I was joking because we've got some mates. We talk about our pub crew quite a lot, and in that little chat that we have, which is like a daily thing where we just and stuff like this comes up for conversation. I think it was like sort of 6 degrees, if you like, of separation or whatever the sort of conversational phenomenon is, where the pictures were posted of G1 Prime, and almost within minutes, someone was like, "Oh, imagine if they did a Unicron." It was like,
RC.
Yeah, RC, yeah, and all these other non-existent toys that never got produced back in the day, and it's just hilarious because that is almost the cork has been pulled out of the bottle with this thing, where it's like suddenly it feels like anything could be on the table.
Yeah.
Would they make a Unicron? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? It's not to say they wouldn't.
Yeah, it's almost like this. I love that they called it Missing Link because it almost feels like everything we've had revealed over the last few years, whether it's Masterpiece, but that loses a lot of fans because of X, Y, and Z, or whether it's retro reissues, but that loses a lot of likes because of this, and that, and this limitation, or Generations, but that doesn't appeal to these group of people because X, Y, Z. This seems to be a bit of a nexus of there's a possibility that this could satisfy more people than anything has ever satisfied before.
Yeah.
Because it's everything you want in one line.
Well, yeah, this is kind of, in some ways, this is the toy that people that don't collect imagine in their brain, isn't it, as what they had as a kid. This is, like what that thing where people see Masterpiece Prime and they're like, oh, I had that toy back in the 80s. Had that kid. But
it's grown up now.
Steady on. Yeah. But this now looks like you kind of mind's eye, doesn't it, of what G1 Optimus Prime was like, I suppose. It's almost like the toys that you could have imagined that you had all those years ago.
People have been doing customs of this for years, though, haven't they? Yeah. And yet somehow I saw those and I just thought, that doesn't suit the G1 aesthetic. Like, that doesn't suit the vintage aesthetic. You can't just stick ankle tilts on what effectively is a 40-year-old toy that belongs in a part of history and it has a certain look, and you love that it's blocky and it can't do anything but raise its forearms. And yet here we are with this, and all of a sudden it's like, well, this is what I've always wanted.
Yeah. I think a lot of people have wanted this for years.
I do.
I've seen, I've had loads of comments on social media and stuff over the years from people saying, "Oh man, imagine if they did a redo of this with more articulation." And even, Liam, you mentioned the Armada toys. The number of times people say, "Oh, like we should get a redo of Armada Megatron with knees." Things like that. It comes up a lot. So it's surprising that it's potentially being done, but it's also kind of a no-brainer, I think, in a weird way.
What's amazing to me is how logical it is. Like, if they were going to keep releasing these toys, like at some point they were going to have to do something else. It's like, how do we keep doing G1 Optimus Prime now? Surely so many people own it, but then what do we do to reinvigorate a release of that? Like, how do we, not to be too corporate, but it's how do we get more money out of those toys and those characters? Because how do we keep going back to that segment now? Because people are moving, there's Masterpiece and stuff like that, but even that's moved past a lot of these characters now. It's like, where do you go next? How do you go back to those people and bring some more money out?
How do you make everyone buy the cast again?
Yeah.
You basically give them what they can't have anymore, which is completely mint G1 toys of the characters that they don't have and can't get because we can't do them anymore, but have them be lovely and fresh, a reason to be interested in them again, not just the same old, and better. And this, I think, ticks all the boxes. And it makes you wonder, has this come out of discussions about what's going on with Masterpiece? Why haven't Takara mirrored the TFTM 86 line in there? Because, I mean, the mad thing about this is it's a Transformers the movie reissue line, and we've had one movie toy. Hot Rod, the first one. Everything else they seem to have is it turned up in the movie, but it is not on the movie poster.
They died in the movie.
It's basically G1 cartoon colours versions of these characters, isn't it? More than anything else.
Of the ones they have,
Yeah. But I think what it is, man, it's crazy about it is it just feels like they finally found that way to, like, we need to get more money out of this. We're a business. This is what we're doing. Let's realise the toy you imagined you had as a kid, the one that lives in your imagination. And that's what they've done. like giving it legs. Like I know you were saying about like, not realizing you wanted them with articulation, but I've always wanted like the Datsuns, because it's one thing that I can never get over with smokescreen toys. Like the masterpiece stuff is like they're great, but they're not that proportion, if you know what I mean. Like nothing. And then when I see people like Dreamwave art or other art where they base it on the toy, it's like, that's what I want. That toy design with knees and hips. And I remember many years ago asking our friend Nathan, the customizer, Nelly, M131, but I asked him, I said, could you put some hips and knees on a smoke screen? And he's like, I could, but I don't think it'd be very stable. And other people have done it, and I've always wanted it. And just, the thought that it could be there now.
I think it's going to be interesting if this does continue. I mean, I believe anyway that the Japanese text on the image says series, doesn't it? So that's kind of where the thought has come from. This is not just a one and done. But, Convoy as a toy, Optimus, is fairly articulated already because it has knees. You can't swing the hips forward, but the arms are pretty articulated. The head doesn't move, but it's got some articulation.
He's got the room to expand it as well. Like he's the one of all the toys you could look at and go, you could pretty much just bolt some hips in there, right? A swivel.
Exactly what I was going to say is that you can see how it could be articulated. And I'm looking at my shelves, and there are some others that are very obvious how you could pump more articulation into them, like a Retgar, for example, would be very easy to do. Even Hot Rod, to an extent, I think, it wouldn't be that difficult to imagine what an articulated G1 Hot Rod would look like. But there are some, I'm looking at them, I'm like, how? Like Ultra Magnus, for example, just how would that even work?
That was the first one I thought of. I was thinking, how would that... Yeah.
Well, maybe that's the whole thing about managing expectations. We filled in all the gaps, haven't we, already, about what this series ethos will be?
The automatic thing to just assume we're going to get every character now. It's going to be a lineup list for...
What's going on in Prime's trailer? We haven't seen inside. Maybe it's literally just a rebuild of the G1 Prime trailer with nothing extra. So a Magnus, right? Well, a Magnus might just be that same cab but white, and just a rebuilt G1 Magnus trailer, which it clips onto in truck mode.
I'd take it, man.
Same. That's the thing. I'm wondering, and this is the wrong thing to do here. So I'm thinking, if they rebuild parts and molds in the same dimensions and scale as G1, I mean, we don't even know what the scale is. Are they going to scale together? If they do a hot rod, we assume, again, it's just G1, but again, with joints. Does that mean that they will then mold parts that they've lost and can then use them to reissue straight up G1 toys?
I don't know. Well, one question I had is, do you think that this is going to have diecast and rubber wheels and things like that?
That's true. Will it be hollow? Like, will it have the same feel
we don't
of...
know.
That one of my thoughts was I wondered whether one of the ways to keep the cost down would be to switch out the die-cast for plastic. But I suppose in this economy, I don't know if plastic's more expensive than metal.
Right. I mean, the chest seems to open in the same fashion as the vintage toys chest. You can see it. There's a little picture, but it appears to have a little matrix, canopy or whatever inside the chest. So who's to say? But it would be fascinating. I hadn't considered that the scale might be different. That hadn't occurred to me at all. That would be a bit of not a deal breaker, but I'd be disappointed if it wasn't. I almost want it to look identical to the old toy. I almost want it so that you could feasibly stand it on a shelf and pose it stoically such that it was near enough identical to the original toy. But then you can articulate it if you want to. That would be my ideal. I know that kind of probably sounds a bit silly to some people.
You're absolutely right. I'm quite bored of toys being so big now, because it's like you're just running out of space.
Yeah,
I would really like them to keep that same scale and size.
And G1's quite small on the whole. Like there's even the biggest toys. Like put Fort Max to one side for a second. There's nothing that big in G1 really. Compared to a lot of modern toys. So
it's about Fort Max size wheelie. We don't want that.
I don't see the point of doing this line if it's going to be a different scale. Because why then go to the lengths to make it look like the vintage toy?
Exactly.
I just don't see the point.
Somebody said on my Instagram, and it actually hit me quite... I was like, I think that's a great point. It was like, this is the masterpiece line I always wanted. And it's like the perfect versions of these toys. But I don't think that... I would prefer it in this scale, but I can see a case for them doing them at different sizes, depending on... Because like certain toys... Like the mini bots would be really hard. Like almost impossible. And I know there's a case to say, well, maybe just don't do them if they don't fit. But then you're like, I'd quite like to see them maybe a little bit bigger.
Be
But
fascinating.
at the same time, maybe downsize some of the larger toys if you get them in.
I wonder if the philosophy here is to design something that works with your vintage collection. Like, what if you don't own a Sunstreaker and you don't want a bootleg? That's a gap in your collection if you start today and you don't want to pay vintage prices.
Well, it feels from the photos like that's what it is. This is the version of the vintage toys
we're saying that from tiny images that are blurry, and we have filled in all the gaps. I mean, today I posted a tweet that said clearer pictures with a question mark because I'm not sure that that's what it is. Yeah, it's very clearly an AI upscale, but having done that and messed up the text and the face and various details as AI does, there are things that are now a little bit clear, and it's almost, I'm happy that someone upscaled it. I don't care that it's not the actual image in clearer res, because it's making me appreciate it again in a different way because it's clearer. And should the 9th of August come around and we do get some kind of official reveal of it, then that will be wonderful. But it's astonishing how I think a lot of people are pinning hopes on this now. I really do think it will be a 100%. Massive disappointment if this turns out to be.
Yeah. I've had so many comments already from people that are just like, please be real, please be real. I think there was a palpable level of disappointment. It was almost like the Megatron, image when that landed this afternoon. It was literally not even 12 hours ago or whatever from now, and it was so funny. Because it landed and it was like immediate hype, immediate elation of people like, yes! It's
before
real.
they even had a moment to analyze all the flaws in that image.
Exactly. And
that was you today. That was you today.
I was 100%. I was like, you were the person that directed me to the image. And I was like, oh my God, yes. And then
you can blame Ken for that. He's the one who posted it on my
Did he
timeline.
Photoshop it?
Thanks, Ken. From Kensington.
A quick shout out to Ken on that note, because he messaged me to say he wasn't happy that there was another Ken on the show after Ken from Kensington. So he was very disappointed. He was
we should stress that this Ken is real, though, shouldn't we?
It's lovely, is this Ken?
Unlike your other Ken.
No, he's cool too.
Sure, Liam, sure. But
dedicated to the lie.
Yeah, dedication. There you go. But it was, it
or
was
just deluded.
Funny. Yeah, that too. It was funny to see how quickly the disappointment set in, and it was. I don't think I can remember a Transformers toy reveal, a hoax one, that's gone from like elation to crushing, bitter disappointment that quickly. It was within 20 minutes, honestly.
That just shows you how much we want it, how much we want to believe in this. Like, you could literally throw out a Sunstreaker hoax tomorrow. I'll still click on that picture. I'll still retweet it because I still want it that badly.
I do think there's an element as well that it's filling a void that we have as collectors, because we all collect stuff, and at the minute I think we're so well served with stuff. It's almost got a little bit dull because you've got most things you've always wanted, and I feel like this has hit that note where suddenly people are re-engaged. There's something like that really lands with them again, like when Masterpiece first hit, or when reissues first came out and people gobbling them up, even Generation stuff. It all seems to have hit that point now where people are still buying it, but we have that need to consume everything, don't we? We've got to buy something regularly.
I do know what you mean. I assume you're saying that fully in the knowledge of how it sounds to say I've got everything I ever wanted, and it's really not.
Well, I mean sort of,
I know what you mean,
but I feel like we've spoken about it before, haven't we, where there's like certain things you've always wanted and now they exist, like you want a new version. Pink Hot Rod is the one, isn't it? That's like a great example, and we're so well served with that, and we're all like flipping
that's a really good
mass
example.
Consumption, aren't we? That's what we all are.
It is a good example.
It's a really good example because shout out to Chris C137, who has spent months now waiting for me to supply him with vintage hot rod parts and things like that in order to create for me a proper G1 looking pink hot rod. So he's, and you guys have customs of this nature as well. And Sixo, you did it yourself. You removed the paint from the retro reissue. You've added chrome and stuff like that to make it look like the G1 toy, but in pink.
Yeah.
Because we love pink hot rod. We love that it's gotten done. But really, deep down, we kind of wanted that one.
Yeah.
And it just shows that even when you get what you think you really want, there's still going to be people like us who want it a little bit more perfect than it already is.
Yeah.
And this line is prime for that. No pun intended. Just looking at the comments online, look at the spectrum of comments that you've got already. From "it's a hoax," it's the most hoax thing since a hoax, to "this will be great, but it will be this, that, and that, and I'll want this, that, and that, and they better do this and that needs." So even though it is what most of us seem to really be into, it's still not going to be there'll be something, won't there?
Yeah. There'll be another shoe to drop with this for sure. Like at the moment, it feels like anything is possible. It's the answer to all our prayers. It's the gateway drug to a G1 Unicron being made real. It's all of these things and
it's
more.
Exciting though, isn't it?
It is exciting.
We haven't had this sort of thing for ages.
Yeah,
since
hugely exciting.
I don't know, since almost Masterpiece and Generations.
But it's not real yet.
Look
at what you're saying. Look at where you've let yourself go to
let's just
in the
have
space
this
of
win.
48 hours.
Yeah.
Enjoy the moment, man.
That's the other thing. It's what you're saying about needing this. It's like, let us have that win, considering we're this well served. I'm picking up amazing Unicron trilogy toys that I missed from 20 years ago, and it's thrill after thrill after thrill. And yet this has come along and been like, how much do I need this?
Yeah.
What does it say about us?
Let's be fair. There is already enough
we
Transformers product out there.
stuff.
There's more stuff that we can fill our houses with.
Liam's got Jurassic Park crossovers.
I know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. That's what I mean. I got the dream toys that I've always wanted, and it was the same with the Explorer for years. I've always wanted one that looked just like the film because they've never done an accurate one. Now they've done loads, and I sit there going, they haven't put the black around the windows and stuff like little things like that. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't put the text on the tires.
I've got a great robot base.
Yeah. I'm sat here looking at a legit tiger stripe Grimlock across the room from me. You know what I mean? That exists. It's real. Yes, it's not the G2, the vintage mold, but it exists and it's here and it's real. And we are fully over the top, ridiculously catered to in the extreme.
Yeah.
All of this stuff that I could have never imagined back in the day. So...
Right.
But we're never satisfied.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You're never satisfied. You always want what's new.
I bet you that B-Mac and Mark Mayer will look at that reveal today and pray it's real too. If they don't already know, they're looking at that as fans and going, yes.
Yeah. No doubt.
I want that.
No doubt. I think you'd have to be, certainly if you're of a certain age, let's put it that way, and you're a Transformers fan, it's gonna get you, for sure.
But imagine if you're not of a certain age and you care about articulation and a form of accuracy, but you want this legacy of Transformers that started the legend, you could do this too. This could be for you. You're finally going to be able to get in on G1 at a level that means something to you because it's articulated, and you can do the thing that you really want with the figure and still have the aesthetic that launched the line and is legendary.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, that's a really great point. It does feel like a fantastic jumping on point for people. I think we spoke about this before, where it kind of feels like, when new people come in, it's like, where do you jump on now? Because so many of these lines have been going for so long, and it's hard for people to jump in at the beginning of a line. Like if someone's getting to Masterpiece now, it's a lot to go back through, isn't it? Stuff's expensive enough table. Whereas here, it's like you can get back in on the ground floor with everybody else, and
unless it's
a moment,
$150.
Yeah. But I mean, there's a moment to share, and it's it's quite rare.
We're talking about a period of time where sealed Megatrons are going for 5 figures, and that's just okay. I think a sealed Megatron sold in the last week for that kind of crazy money, even now. So I know I'm not sitting here thinking, Unicron RC. I know my biggest dream from this is I can do G1 properly from the start now. Yeah. And I can have the G1 toys perfectly mint, and I can get them one after the other, and I'm not going to miss one. No, I'm going to have Sunstreaker, but it's going to be perfect. Yeah. And I can get it from day one, and it will be mine, and I don't have to pay hundreds and hundreds of pounds for it, or thousands in the case of Prime.
That is all of that I agree with, and that is exactly what makes me wish that they are in the same scale with die-cast if possible. Do you know what I mean? And that they kind of have that feel of the G1 toys about them. It really would be something. Megatron would be amazing if they did it. I mean, that was one thing that confirmed for me that fake image. We are pretty conclusively saying it's a fake, I think, at this point, because all the tells are there.
It's going to be the first one revealed, isn't it? By the time this is out,
I welcome it.
Yeah. One thing I did think was funny, and I just want to touch on this very briefly, but it's been making me laugh all day, is that as soon as that Megatron image landed, was that there were people going, "Oh, it's a fake," because they would never be able to make it because of the gun laws, and you read that and you go, which gun laws? Like whose gun laws? Because this is, if it is real, which we think it's not, but that's by the by, it's a Japanese product being made for domestic Japanese audience. You know, they have toy guns.
G1, and they've reissued G1 Megatron.
Yeah.
Hang on a minute. This is exactly where I was with this, but on our Discord today, a very good point came up.
Oh, yeah.
Have you tried to buy a vintage gun robot, Megatron or Browning, on a Japanese auction site recently, or a Japanese proxy site? They won't ship it.
Bought 5.
That is true. They won't ship it.
They won't ship it, not even internally.
Yeah.
And if this is going to be retro and this is going to be packaged the way as before, this is going to be in gun mode. It's been years since we had a reissue Megatron. 2009 was the last time.
No. Since then, the Chronicle one.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That was 2011.
In robot mode, right?
But that was in robot mode. But
so that would be one way around it, I guess?
Yeah. It would have to go in robot mode for sure.
There is also
have to be in robot mode.
There is also the fact that Hasbro and Takara tend to work together, and if they're invested in a new mold like this, they probably do it together. And that's, I mean, it's not necessarily, but it's, I don't know, it feels quite likely just in the way they tend to operate at the moment.
MP36.
Yeah, I was going to say Masterpiece is a Takara prospect. That's the Takara design led. It's not,
but they sell it through Hasbro Pulse as well, don't they? So there is, and they get extra sales and stuff.
They do now, but that wasn't always the case. For many years, it was a Takara only prospect. And Maz is right. I mean, MP36 Plus was released only 5 years ago, and again, that shipped in robot mode, and that actually is even more quote unquote realistic looking than MP36, I would say, because of the chrome and whatever. So, and you know, model guns and things like that are still a thing in Japan. So yeah, it's true. It would probably have to be shipped in robot mode, but it's not off the table for Takara at all. It just made me laugh because, you know, of course, the conversation comes up about like, oh, I wonder if they'll sell it with an orange plug in it and things like that. And it's like, we're applying a kind of a very home logic to it here, but. It's possible for Takara to do it.
I was also on Instagram about it, and they said, "Oh, you know, I'd love a Megatron, but you know, it would never get released." And I was like, "But it is if it's a Takara product, you know, there's a strong chance it would because they've done Megatron many times since."
Yeah, I mean, I think 2011 last G1 Megatron reissue, so that's still 12 years ago, still a long time ago, but it's not so long that as far as I'm aware, nothing has particularly changed in that time. And guns are illegal in Japan, but toy guns and model guns still a thing. Yeah. So possible.
On the topic of Megatron, I have a reissue Megatron. It's really nice. I also have a vintage pre-rub Megatron, which is exceptionally nice, and it was unused when I got it, and it's perfectly stickered now. Glorious. It's the best Megatron I could ever hope to have. And yet, looking at the hoax today, it reminded me why I want that to be so real. Because ultimately, having vintage toys of the thing that you really, really want in your collection is still not quite the perfect scenario. Because I am not going to go and mess with that vintage Megatron over and over again. I am worried genuinely for my collection that it will start to decay. They'll get brittle. If I handle them, they're going to get damaged, and then I'll have to replace it, and financially I can't. So I will then be without that toy. I've already had to replace Trigger Happy and Suckslinger in my collection already, and I had spares that I bought years ago. I can't do that again today. I really don't think I can find perfect ones or afford them. So something like this line puts a real spotlight on how I really feel about my vintage collection, which I've invested loads in. I've spent loads of time and money and love on this, but it's still not quite the ideal way for me to have a collection of these toys. But this is offering something that I think would be perfect.
That's a really interesting point, because I think you're right. You know, there's a lot of toys. I'm looking at my collection now. There's a lot that I know that when I pick them up, I'm like, just you get that slight concern or worry or whatever, and it's pretty heartbreaking, isn't it? When you you damage a sticker or you see a little scratch or something like that, heaven forfend that you drop something or whatever it might be. It's it's a scary, can be quite a scary prospect at times. We talked, I think, in the last episode about Black Zarek, or certainly in the Scorponok mini-so, we were talking about Black Zarek quite a bit. And, these are toys that if they were reissued now, I always think that it's an easier prospect in a lot of ways. It's not something that's 40 years old that you might be destroying. So, 100%.
The Transformers will return after these messages.
Well, it's that time for the part of the pod where we talk about our sponsor, and as ever, that is tfsource.com. You can check them out for all your Transformers and third-party needs, and they've got lots of good stuff in stock up for pre-order right now. But I think the one thing that feels rather relevant and has sort of caught our eye just there is the old masterpiece MP44S Optimus Prime. And for anybody that's not familiar with this is the thing that we were sort of all getting excited about, like, a month ago when the blurry pictures of that turned up. And this was kind of before the Missing Link thing. This was kind of the Optimus Prime that everyone was like, no, they're doing it. And it's a cartoon styled masterpiece, MP44, Optimus Prime, but done in a toy style. And it's so weird now to kind of look at this thing and think that actually a new G1 toy Optimus Prime might be coming, some ways down the road. It sort of really puts this thing into perspective. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah,
I suppose so. And it's mad to think that there are enough niches in the hobby that they both have room to exist and really satisfy different groups of people. And there'll be people who buy both.
Oh, yeah, 100%. It's weird to imagine your cartoon-styled MP44 next to your toy-styled MP44 next to the vintage toy, and then this Missing Link vintage, equivalent, if you like. It's a weird old world.
Yeah, I really do like MP44S for a number of reasons, but those feelings have changed a little bit having seen the Missing Links, but as if that's a thing. But I love the alternate head that comes with MP44S. That looks really, really nice because it looks a little bit like the Arrival from Cybertron version cartoon head.
Yeah, it is.
And that's really, really nice. I like that. Even though this is meant to be like a toy style one, I look at it and it's still very, very masterpiece.
Yes.
But I think it's as good as they can make it, right?
Yeah, that head comes with MP44 as well, and it was it confused a lot of people. I had tons of comments from people going, no, it comes with a toy-styled head, and it's like, nah, sadly. I think they could have done another head with it, like they did with MP36 Plus. I think that would have been the cherry on top. But actually, I kind of went from being a bit on this to thinking actually it looks pretty great. I love the colors, love the yellow eyes. I think it looks good. It's a great toy anyway.
I'm less sold on it. I think it looks all right. It has that thing that I don't like about the cartoon style toys when they apply the toy style details on them, where they don't look quite right. Like his knee stickers, they look really small.
Yeah,
they don't quite work in the same way, and those details that really make the originals pop just look like they, are the wrong size clothes for him. Basically, is that sort of thing.
I see what you're saying.
It doesn't quite land.
I think it's weird that they've chosen to make it decals actually, because those on 36 Plus it was tampos, whereas here those are optional decals that you can or cannot apply.
I suppose it's quite authentic that it means like in 15 years they'll all have peeling knee stickers on their
right.
Optimus Primes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I probably won't apply the decals to mine, actually. I kind of like it without. I think it sort of reminds me of Marvel Comics Prime in a weird way.
Yeah, I can sort of see that. It's funny because I thought the Megatron MPO, which one was he?
36 Plus.
36 Plus.
No bloody O in it, mate. It's not MPO.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry.
You're creeping in there with your O.
MP Megatrono.
Megatrono.
I thought that was stunning. I thought that genuinely was fantastic and worked on every level. This one, it looks alright. I don't know. It almost looks awkward to me. I think that's partly my own sort of things. It's not the toy and it's not the cartoon, and
I get you.
It's not like those details are applied in a way that works for the mold as much as it feels like they're just added to try and get there.
It's not as extreme a makeover, and it's not as extreme a kind of commitment to the cause, if you like. I think if they really wanted to go the whole hog, like they could have chromed out the hips and stuff, for example, things like that, and the thighs, to kind of make it fit with MP36 Plus.
And his waist wouldn't have been such a cartoon waist. Like with the yellow details, it would have been like a truck waist the way it is. I think that was where MP36 Plus went the whole hog, but this less so.
Yeah. I think that's absolutely a fair critique. It is weird seeing this now, though, just bringing it back to Missing Link, because it is kind of a halfway house in a lot of regards, isn't it? And I think, something that we were saying, kind of before the ad break, the Missing Link is interesting, and does it kind of make Masterpiece feel less relevant somehow, or whatever it might be? I think what's interesting is that Masterpiece has gone so cartoony now that actually the idea of a very toy-styled new line that is kind of masterpiecey in a way, maybe, we don't know based on these blurry images, but the two sort of work very much hand in hand in a funny way, and it makes these toy style masterpiece homages sort of sit in a weird place.
But if you imagine a G1 toy skids with articulation in that scale, or something like Reboost, and then also a Masterpiece scale skids, which is more with the toy style head that Burnout has, I think that still has a very, very good reason to exist. Yeah. So there's room for it if it's done right. I think even with the existence of a potential Missing Link line, Masterpiece toy style done right would still be brilliant, and I'd still buy the right ones.
Yeah, I think that's sort of what I mean here, is it's not the idea that I don't think works. I think it's just not on this mold. It doesn't feel like it was made to look like this, if you know what I mean. Like, it just, I don't know if Masterpiece feels like the right word for it, because Masterpiece to me feels like something that's designed and executed like dead on to what it's supposed to be, whereas this, it just feels like, I don't know, just doesn't quite.
It's not doing it for you. It's not.
No, it just. I don't know what the right word is. It just doesn't feel finished, or it doesn't have that finesse to it. That kind of thing where you look at it and go, "That's exactly how that should look." Not to look exactly like the toy, but to evoke it and mix those two styles. It doesn't mix the two styles well in a way that like a Skids would with a toy style head, or the Megatron does.
Anyway, after that glowing endorsement, you can buy this toy on TFSauce.
Does MP36 Plus come with the stock pieces and all the other bits and bobs?
It does.
I think if they really wanted to make MP44 Plus S, whatever it is, perfect, it needed the trailer. It had to have
it. And the head. It really needed that head. I think
it needed a head.
Those little bits that it just doesn't feel like they've gone to the same level of care.
Because they can do that stuff, and they are doing it with Rigorous or Yellow Children. They're doing it. If they want to, they can do it.
Yeah, it was. The trailer's a funny one, because in a way I get why they haven't done the trailer, because I think the trailer bumped up the price of MP44 so significantly that it was a divisive decision.
It just goes to show, be wary of what you see in blurry reveals, because this is what you got with toy style Masterpiece Optimus Prime that so many people had fixated in their head what it was going to be, and we need to apply that to what we're seeing now with these Missing Link drops.
Very relevant. There you go. Salient point. So, well, yes, if you are liking this thing maybe more than Liam, then it is available and up for pre-order on tfsauce.com. I do just want to shout out real quick, because they've got some amazing other stuff in there. I mean, there's lots of new Legacy Evolution stuff up right now, Diaclone, and there's a 3.0 Robotech. I mean, it's a Macross Valkyrie, isn't it? Let's be fair, but it's just beautiful, this thing, and it transforms as well.
Yeah.
So definitely into that. I think you are as well, Liam.
Yeah, I've almost convinced myself I'm gonna have to pre-order it, because like the price is about what you would pay for a Valkyrie anyway. There's not really a premium on it.
It's not shocking.
No, it's in that same price range as you would for a good Valkyrie. And I'm like, oh, it looks nice.
It's smaller though. It's only 1/72 scale.
Yeah, it's only about, what does it say, 7 inch or something?
8 inches.
8 inches, yeah.
Yeah. Just, it's not a bad size, is it?
It's good enough in some ways, less so with Robotech Valkyries.
There is also one product I would like to draw attention to, because I don't think we mentioned it in the last bunch of episodes, but I think it's a huge deal. Ooh. It was the last Trainbot Masterpiece, which is Cayenne. And that is coming, if you pick the right release, with a gift set box for Raiden. And I think that's lovely.
See, that is a fantastic touch. That's a
And
masterpiece touch.
the one I went for.
Yeah.
I don't care about the stands. I want that box. I want the artwork. And you bet I'm going to put those trains in that box.
Does it come with polystyrene?
Probably
Does it come
not.
with like
It's
just
going to be a plastic
cardboard?
tray.
Oh. Oh, that's still cool. That's got something.
Yep.
Because that's going to be a massive box.
Masterpiece gift set box? Givey.
Wow.
I thought it was cool that that they allowed you to kind of buy the box, empty as it were, and then put the trains in it, as opposed to having to buy it all again. Which I think would have been
a giftless set box. There we go.
A bit of uproar, but so absolutely get on there and check out all your stuff that's available now from tfsource.com. Thank you very much for sponsoring the pod. Do check them out for all your Transformers and third-party needs.
And Diaclone, you can get the whole Great Robot Base. You should do that.
We now return to the Transformers.
Going back to our discussion about these types of reveals, specifically the missing link, we've just done a sponsor segment where we've talked about the toy style MP44 Optimus Prime masterpiece, where that also got shown in this kind of blurry, really small image that people upscaled, and then we got the clear image, and we got the full details of what that was. And yes, there was some distinct disappointment from the already kind of small group of people who would have been really into a toy style MP44. So that really means that we should be careful about how much we commit to a particular dream here that we think we're getting with a potential missing link. Like, it might just be nothing, but then it could be something that isn't what a lot of us dreamt it would be. It could be so much less in scope. It could be so high in price. It could be so much less what we thought it was leading to. Do you think that damages the sentiment of the community towards this product? Because I remember back in Controversial Opinions too, Liam, you were saying that it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, people will buy it if it's what they want. And assuming that people change their mind about buying an expensive toy based on how they saw it the first time or what they thought it was going to be versus what it is going to be, does it matter that it's revealed this way?
No, because by the time it comes out, we'll have seen 15,000 photos of it in different ways and places. And there'll be people who maybe look at this now and go, oh, I'm not into it. But then they'll probably see a million other photos from every conceivable angle, and their opinion will change. And vice versa, there'll be people now go, "This is great," and they'll see more things, and they'll start to get more critical and be like, "Oh, it's not quite this, it's not that." Actually, I'm well served. I don't think these kind of reveals, like, I'm not a big fan of them, but I don't think they, I don't think they do harm beyond being a bit like, oh.
And because, I get why you say that in a general term. Yeah. This one in particular, because it's really struck a chord with us about something we've just realized we really desperately want, or in your case, have always wanted. If this turns out to not be what you wanted, there will be some heartbreak there for you, won't there?
There will, but I don't think that's based on this reveal, because that would have happened however these photos came out, like whatever they did. There would have been a moment where I'd first be like, oh my gosh, it's an articulated G1 Prime. And the more I looked at it, and that's how I look at it, is the more I would have looked at it, then I would have got, it's not quite there.
But you wouldn't have had time to squeeze in a triple takeover episode about it and really dig into that dream and really talk about what we would have missed the speculation time. Yeah.
No, because we would have had this, and you guys would have talked me into why it's actually great. I'm like, all right, okay.
Well, maybe it's a good thing, Sixo, then, that this got revealed this way, because now we're having this moment of dreaming, and it could be anything right now, and it could be the greatest thing ever, and we're going into TF Nation on this wave of
absolutely
Euphoria. The future is bright.
Wouldn't it be wonderful if this moment of high could just stay forever? But I don't know, it's a tough one for me. I still sort of stick with my original stance when we did talk about this obviously a bit in Controversial Opinions too, and my take was that I do think there have been reveals in the past that have been done in a certain way that have harmed the reputation of certain toys, and I gave some examples, things like MP28 Hot Rod, or even Masterpiece Tracks, where the kind of initial pictures that were seen, I think sometimes it's about the kind of look or proportions of the toy, and then there's a sort of damning indictment that's made about them based on those initial images that then never seems to go away. So it's almost like, with like Tracks, for example, looked a bit wonky, I think, on first unveil. it just seemed to be for ages that toy could not shake this reputation of looking a bit wonky, no matter how you photographed it, no matter like how amazing the photography could be, official or non or whatever it was. There were always people like, but it looked crap in that initial image, so that's my judgment on it. And I
this is the opposite, isn't it? This is kind of like, I don't think a lot of people have looked at this image and gone, "Oh, that looks pants. Why would they do this?" I'm not getting that vibe.
Yeah. So I'm sure someone has, but
yeah.
But this is an icon, though, isn't it? Beyond anything else, this is one of the most iconic toys ever made. Beyond just Transformers, it's so special, isn't it? It's really hard to look at this toy.
Yeah. Oh no, hang on. I think I did get one. I think I got my absolute favorite, the absolute classic, the one that I always love to receive on something I'm super enthusiastic about, which is where someone pipes up completely unsolicited and just chimes in with meh.
Yeah. But the thing is,
always what you want.
It is possible to take a G1 toy and make it look janky with articulation.
100%.
It is possible to make it like, that's not really what that was meant to do or designed for. But it doesn't look that way in the photos. It actually looks really well done.
They've done something really clever as well, which they've emulated certain poses, and one of them is the box art.
Yes.
Which
it's
is
great.
Beyond just showing you can do the box art, is an instant connection to it that you recognize that you're like, man, when I was a kid and I saw that image on the box for the first time and that drew me in. And you're like, most of the toys can't do those box art poses, can you? And being able to do that is a real connection to that. I think that's
100%. That box art pose. I mean, I have a G1 Optimus box just up there, and it's just still the most beautiful thing imaginable. So that was the pose that really sold me.
Well, they've actually done the Convoy pose, haven't they? They've done the Japanese version of it. It lends a tiny bit more credibility to it as well.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, it's attention to detail. If it is a fake, then yeah, definitely. But I kind of take your point though as well, Maz, that if it turns out this is not real, or even if it turns out it is, but it's not what we wanted it to be, I think there will be a level of disappointment in that, based on how it looks from these images. So I don't know. In terms of the reveal itself, to me, it's certainly not the ideal way to glimpse a new toy. It's fun because it kind of leads to a lot of speculation and whatever else. But if this was just banged out in high def images, I'd certainly be happier.
Yeah, and I suppose with this, it has the thing where it looks like it's official images, just slightly lower res. So it's kind of there. But you are right about some of the other toys. But I think the question I always have about this is like, it's not how it affects us so much as like how we think about it. Like you were saying about the tracks and how the stigma it got attached. But look how many times they recolored it. So it's like, did it affect sales? I think that's the thing I always come down to. It's like people are obviously buying it because they were releasing it in more bloody colours than you get on a rainbow.
3.
Yeah. Well, there we go. It's a very small rainbow.
Yeah.
But I mean,
one of them was black. But
that's what I mean. But even like with Hot Rod, obviously he couldn't shake the stigma of his chest, and that from that first reveal, it's like, he never got away from
such a big chest.
But that's what I mean. Is how much does people moaning on the internet or this discussions that we have, in forums and stuff, how much does that actually translate into people not buying it because they released that in other colours, and it must have done quite well because they carried on. And I think that's the thing; it doesn't actually affect the sales. How these
I absolutely take your point, and you may well be right. I suppose I'm thinking of it less about sales and more about just how it lives on in kind of fandom's hearts and minds.
You're talking about feelings.
Yeah, exactly.
And from that point, that's what we're trying to say with all the other toys and stuff. It's like, I get that. That's completely right. Because I'm the same sometimes. You see this and I'm less bothered than you guys, but it's still a little bit like you still want to be wowed.
Yeah.
But then there's that thing where it's like, I look at it and go, it's not really done any harm. It's
The one I think of more recently, which actually was relevant at the time of controversial opinions, was that Kingdom Galvatron and the reveal with that, because that was probably the worst toy reveal I think I've ever seen. It was revealed, it was like at the bottom of a shopping bag or whatever. It was kind of on its side.
Funny, imagine seeing this at the bottom of a shopping bag. I wonder if you'd blink twice.
They're still doing that. Still doing that now, though, aren't they? We're still getting like shots of like the back of a Transformer, his head squished down. What was the dump truck one from Legacy that popped up in someone's photo, but no one could work out what it was because they keep seeing most of it. What could that be?
It's a weird old one, honestly. So, and then we've just had it recently with some supposed reveals on like actual box art, like official box art, like the Armada Thrust that everybody suddenly got really excited about because it popped up in the one of the drawings, and everybody was like, "Oh, great, we're going to get an Armada thrust." And then Hasbro came out and went, "No, you're not actually." And it was like, "Oh." So, it's just funny how this stuff kind of happens, I think, and how, particularly now in the age of scrutiny and social media and everything, how things get picked up and kind of news cycled pretty quickly. And
I've already put my G1 collection up for sale because I want these. I've half of it's gone pre TF Nation, so I'm just saving up for this Prime. I would really love to know if it's real, because I would like to save up for every version of it. I think that's a thing I would love to do. So I love that there's this speculation time. Speculation is fun because it lets your imagination run wild. I think I would prefer to have just known from the beginning what the deal was, though. I don't think I would have missed the speculation. I wouldn't have missed this moment of... I think I would have preferred this episode to be about knowing what we're getting and going from there.
See, I'm the other way. Like, I will be crushingly disappointed if it's not real. But
same.
I've enjoyed this time, like just this thoughts and being able to think, like, oh man, what if they did this? Like, it feels like it could be real. I've really enjoyed this. I was so disappointed. At the same time, like, we wouldn't have had this chat, or there wouldn't have been all this excitement that people.
We wouldn't have heard from Abraham.
Yeah, well, there we go.
I think we were always going to hear from Abraham. That was inevitable.
That's a good point. Yeah, the discussion is fun. The speculation.
But there's also the excitement this has generated, like the buzz. Like, you don't get this that often, and I know.
I think it would. But the excitement and buzz would have occurred if it was a hoax, but in high res too. I think that would have still happened.
But I think it's just that people are often quite cynical, aren't they? We see a lot of moaning, and we talk about it and we joke about it, but then you get these like once in a blue moon moments where people are suddenly like, everyone comes together, almost everyone, and you get this, and it's like, even if we just got this, I've enjoyed this. This has been nice.
It has been nice. I've enjoyed it too.
It's like a holiday from the norm.
One thing that is weird now, actually, in terms of toy reveals and stuff, that kind of, just going slightly to the side of it, is things like that Armada, that Takara Armada, Micron Legend, I suppose, Convoy, that the Grow prototype that was unveiled and then never released. And now there's a suggestion by Hasbro that maybe Takara lost it, which seems kind of strange considering what we know about Takara's rather meticulous record keeping. But
well, to be fair, he did say they couldn't locate it.
Yes, they couldn't locate it. Yes, I think that's right. So, I mean, we don't know the situation there, but it seems like that's never going to see the light of day now.
That's devastating.
Yeah, that's the thing. People still go on about that. So, in a way, would it have been better not to reveal it? I don't know.
I don't know, though, because again, it's just an interesting thing to see, isn't it? Like, so many of the prototypes of vintage toys we see, and you're like, oh, I wish it existed. And it's like, is it better that,
It's a tough one, isn't it? It's
different when time passes between it having been a possibility and 30 years later looking back and thinking, oh, we could have had a Transforming VHS tape. That would have been amazing. But you can leave it in the past. You can just treat it as a historical moment that for reasons didn't occur. But with something that is current and could still happen, but the reasons just aren't good enough for you that it's not, can lead to disappointment, and it can lead to a more cynical outlook on what these companies can provide you as a collector going forward.
I think the problem with that specific example is that, yes, a lot of people, probably a majority, are very happy with the legacy Armada Prime that's come out. But I still regularly see on any post about it, someone saying, but the prototype looked better. And you will get people that won't buy the new one because they preferred the other one, or you'll get people that will buy it and they'll be disappointed with it because it didn't look like the other one. And I think that is one that, in my mind, sticks in as like a disappointing reveal in some ways. I don't know. It's definitely coloured the whole kind of the toy that it's become, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but they're two different toys, though, aren't they? As well,
they are.
But I think it's such a shame because it had such a different aesthetic to it, and it had that more old style Generations. You feel it was way more up my street. I mean, I love the look of the new one. I'm going to buy it, but it looks more like the cartoon and the toy rather than this new one, which looked like a new thing altogether. If that makes sense, like this whole.
This is so funny and relevant what you're saying, because I'm in a position now where I'm buying vintage Armada toys, Micron Legend, and I'm looking at that new one thinking, that doesn't really do it for me, but I will buy a vintage Micron Legend Convoy. And then you're suddenly in this position where, I want it because it's the old aesthetic, whereas people want the new one because it's affordable and articulated. And then you suddenly think, that's why this line is so exciting, because it's right down the middle of everything you'd want, right? It's the aesthetic that is more pleasing to me in this case, but with modern technology of being a very interactive figure that you can pose and enjoy. So
it really is.
That's Armada Prime is a really great example. Like, yes, I currently want an Armada Prime. I'm not going to buy the legacy one because I think the vintage one works for me better, despite its limitations and articulation. So I might even buy a Missing Link Armada Prime, but pose it like the vintage.
It's a great example. What if they put out an Armada Prime that was exactly the same as the original, the super pants with the gimmick and everything, but it had posable legs somehow. I've literally no clue how that could even work, knowing the toy. But I think a lot of people would be into that.
Look at the Diaclone line that's coming out now. A lot of that doesn't seem to suffer from the same cost cap and price point limitations that we get with a lot of mainstream Transformers toys. So as much as we may want a new leader class Armada Prime to be incredible and a great tribute to the original, there are going to be things about it which are inferior construction-wise. But with a lot of the Diaclone stuff, like I'm looking at Big Powered and I'm looking at a Battle Convoy, not a lot of corners cut there. Powered Convoy, incredible, great build quality, amazing to handle and experience. Do you think that this Missing Link line should be priced in this kind of territory so that it can evoke the same feeling of holding a vintage G1 Prime?
I'm going to add to that, actually, before I kind of give an answer, because I think there's almost a second part to that, which is that the thing with Diaclone, the new line, is that it's real no holds barred in terms of gimmicks and quality and whatever else, because of the price point that it has.
Yep.
Whereas, some of the legacy stuff or the generation stuff, for example, like I can't speak for the Armada Prime because I don't.
You can see they're working within a budget, can't you?
Right, exactly.
It's very relevant.
They've said as much on this show.
They have, and that's not a bad thing. You've got to have budgets and things in business. Of course, it's just the kind of reality. It's capitalism at the end of the day. But we understand that. But it's almost like we've sort of got used to collecting toys that are within that budget and kind of making that allowance for it. So, something like a perfect G1 Prime, would you want it affordable so that you can have it, on a budget and everybody can get it or whatever? Or would you rather that it just went, balls to the wall, loaded with all the play pattern and features and everything from the original and the die-cast and the rubber tires and everything.
And the paint.
And the paint.
And the chrome.
And the chrome. And they just went at it and it was perfect, but you'd have to pay top dollar for it.
Yeah, it could. It's not out of the realm of possibility that it could be 30 to 50,000 yen if it did all of that stuff.
Yeah. It's
They're going to have to license vehicles as well, aren't they? Because they haven't to do that with... Did they have to do that with Jeep for the reissue of Hound as well?
They did, yeah.
Even though they retooled it to look less like a Jeep, didn't they? For the reissue of Takara one? Didn't they change the shape of the grille to be less like an actual Jeep? I think that's one of the changes they made when they did the Takara book box one collection.
Have they had to do that with the retro as well?
I think the retro must be that mold because I think it's got the same things like that. But I'm sure it's got a Jeep thing on the box.
I believe it is licensed in some way. Yeah,
but I guess even if it's licensed, the retro one was never going to go and do the old tooling. They would have just used whatever was available.
Oh yeah, but I mean, I assume no, it's not to do with the tooling as much as it's if you do a wheeljack, you're going to have to get a Lancia like trademark, aren't you? And you'd have to license stuff. So there's an extra cost there, which is also going to bump it up on top of the materials.
Yeah, that's going to be funny, isn't it? A wheeljack with its really wacky G1 proportions, but super articulated. That's going to be something to see, isn't it?
Somebody said on Instagram, there's another person who was commenting and I was talking to, and they said, because I mentioned I'd like, man, can you imagine a wheeljack? And they were like, I would love a wheeljack, but I hope they change the rocket launcher to be more cartoon accurate and the proportions. And I was just like thinking, You're just talking about Masterpiece.
Yeah.
That's all. You've already got that.
Yeah. Masterpiece
fair.
Wheeljack exists. Yeah.
I mean, they're not going to do toy and toon varieties of everyone if this is really a series, are they? You're not going to get a Sunstreaker, which is toon head and then toy head, but they turn into the same sort of toy-like car. That would be so weird. I just don't see that happening.
You are right about the prices, because you think, like, is that choice you make, isn't it? Where it's like, do I want the thing that's perfectly realized how I've always wanted? Because that's where these toys more sit, is they are making that perfect version of that toy. So it's, do I want that, or do I want something more affordable? You know, like a scaled down version. And it's like the Diaclone thing you brought up was the perfect example of that, because that takes Diaclone to a different place. I think it's like, it's not the old toys just redone, or the characters. It's those concepts done to the best they can be done.
Yes. Totally. And yet they don't have
exactly that.
working treads. They have molded treads with tiny little wheels that roll underneath. So even they haven't gone all in the way even Fans Hobby do with their rolling rubber treads.
Yeah, I think there's like with stuff like that, it doesn't feel as egregious as some of like the legacy stuff where you can see where the corners have been cut, because they're like, I've got to fit it into a 20 quid toy, so these things aren't there. There's this fake stuff. Whereas I think with Diaclone, a lot of the choices they make, you're like, I can see why they made this choice. It doesn't impact it at all, and it's still there.
It's true. It doesn't make it a worse toy in any way.
You still get the experience, whereas I think with a lot of sort of, I don't know, deluxe toys and stuff, you can... That's the thing I think feeds in from this line a little bit, is when you look at like legacy stuff, there's always still that feeling of, oh, we could get this again, but better at some point, maybe. It's always like, this is good, it's fine.
Well, like the RC that they're talking about redoing, aren't they? Like another RC to condense the backpack.
There's always something missing, or something you feel like, oh, you know, next time they could perfect it or something like this. Whereas with this line, you feel like it has to be
definitive.
Perfect. Yeah, definitive. It's like, this is the final
last
step.
chance? Is it their last chance with the age of the fans that this is aimed at?
Oh my god!
Because look how long they've kept us going with the promise of a better version and a better version. How many poxy RCs do you have to buy until you get the perfect one that's affordable and is everything? This is surely the last chance to get us on board, considering how long this line will take to play out.
I think that's it though. The like generation stuff that feeds that collector thing. If you just keep going and buying something else, and there's always a better version ahead. But with this, I think I don't know how you could do it, because you reissue it and then adding articulation is one thing, but then it's like, I don't think you could sustain re-releasing them with slightly more joints further down, you know, just slightly updated.
And there will be some characters where if they've gone full on, it will be cheaper to buy a vintage one. There are some instances where that will be like, do I really need knee joints on this, or why don't I just go and buy an unused vintage one that would still
G1
fit?
Cindersaw or something like that.
Yeah, because that's how far we'll get. Yeah.
If they did a vintage style Sunstreak on Wheeljack, do you think the prices of the vintage would start to come down slightly?
No.
Never.
Really?
I think it's a different thing.
I don't think this will affect vintage in the slightest.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's different, totally different prospect.
I just wondered if there'd be people who suddenly were like, I'm satisfied with this.
Yeah,
Whereas,
absolutely. But there are still only like a finite number of G1 Sunstreakers out in the wild, you know, and the desirability amongst the people buying them, you know, I don't see it as the same prospect somehow. And you'll still get a lot of people that would have both.
Yeah.
I would have both.
Except for Maz, apparently, who's already sold all of his collection ready.
All gone.
Yeah, he's boxing it up as we speak. I wish he'd stop. We've got a podcast to do.
Yeah.
I've wondered how I would be on this podcast if I no longer had a collection. Like, I'd still know what I know. I'd still feel what I feel, but I wonder if it's possible. That's a question for a different day. Maybe a mini.
God, you're opening a can of worms there, mate. Honestly, but no, I think I do think it's a separate thing. I don't know. I can't see it getting like to the level of like Firecons or whatever. All joking aside, but it is fascinating to think where it might go. But we're doing it again, aren't we? We're taking a blurry image, and we're letting it lead us down the garden path.
Can you tell anything about construction materials from that blurry image? Has it got plastic wheels? Can you tell?
Size? No, can't.
Chrome? Can you tell if it's got chrome?
How much time have we all spent trying to work out how they would do the Seekers?
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah.
So everyone went straight to that going, how would they do that? It couldn't work.
How are they going to give it knees? Yeah. Or elbows. It would be fascinating. There are definitely some toys that would have to be more significantly overhauled than others, as we've said. And then you just plonk out a Jetfire among them, and it's exactly the same as the original.
I think it's really possible that this could be a very limited line to your Prime, your Grimlock, a Bumblebee, maybe an Autobot car like Prowl, but and a Starscream and a Soundwave, I suppose, is very doable. A Shockwave would be amazing. But what,
you have to wonder.
That's the thing. What do they do about those molds that aren't Takaras?
Yeah.
Will we ever see a Shockwave? Shockwave's already kind of articulated.
Don't they? Isn't Shockwave theirs now? I think Shockwave is theirs now.
That'd be great if they have Toyco license. That'd be superb.
No, did they not own that? I thought they owned like Skylinks and all those kinds
that you're thinking of Toybox though. You're thinking of Omega Supreme.
But I thought they had Shockwave now, and that's why they can do all those.
Shockwave, I don't know that they do. I think Toyco is still a separate thing, isn't it?
But because they're always releasing G1 style Shockwaves now, like
but they can do that, but not release the actual Astro Magnum toy in its original configuration.
I thought they somehow discovered they owned.
I don't know if they have. But, I mean, Toyco's still around.
Yeah, it was the thing they discovered they owned was
Skylinks, wasn't it?
Skylinks and Omega specifically. They randomly discovered that actually they had the license to these toys because they essentially bought them and then just didn't realize the thing. And then they're like, oh, we can reissue G1 Omega Supreme and Skylinks and no one will buy them.
It does, like, just thinking about the Seekers and stuff, like, and what they would have to do, it does make you wonder where the line is, where it's the vintage toys with articulation, where that ends and it becomes like a whole new toy.
Yeah,
that just looks a bit like the vintage toys. You know what I mean? Like this Optimus Prime, even though it's a new mold and it's different, it still feels like that toy with articulation. But like the Seekers would have to be a whole thing that looked like, and it's like, is it that? And
this could be the only one they do. And series means there's just a series of primes. Like shoes, fruit.
Six going for the whole Bape thing again.
Oh man, I'm into it. Give me Bapes, give me a shining one, give me the Ultra Magnus, give me a Pepsi. I'm into all of it.
Missing Piss Link. That's what
Black Convoy. I don't know if I'm going to leave that comment in, Liam. I don't know if it's a phrase that ever needs to be uttered again.
I think that was terrible. But yeah, no, I'd be well into whatever colour versions they want to do of this one, honestly. A blue one, brilliant. Bring it all on.
So we've gone through this little cycle now, even within this episode, of dreaming big, going to all the different corners of what this could mean. What could it mean for our current collections? What for our experience and for the cost? And I think we've kind of ended up at a place of managing expectations, being like, this probably won't be everything you think it'll be. This is all just in the space of like an hour and a half.
We started on hopes and dreams, and we've ended on thoughts and prayers. That's what we're kind of at with it, aren't we?
I'm trying to be like, we should probably not imagine. I think there's so much we've filled in the gaps of that this could be anything. This 100%. Could be a totally plastic toy.
Yes.
No paint.
Yeah. Do you think that eventually some psychologist will come up with like the 5 stages of a toy reveal that you kind of quickly go through? Acceptance, denial.
Yeah. Disbelief at the beginning.
Yeah, disbelief certainly. Yeah, is one of them. Absolutely.
Debunking.
Yeah, hype.
Yeah.
Man, I so hope it's real. God, it'd be so cool.
It could be the most exciting thing to happen to Transformers in years, or it could just be a bitterly crushing disappointment, or it might just be somewhere in between, and it's fine.
It's just another canon crossover Optimus that's a one-off thing, and you buy it because it's a great thing. It is G1 Optimus Prime, and you can have G1 Optimus Prime again, but it's just got a bit of extra joy in there.
See, for me, it just conjures up that memory of MP01 when that was first.
MP1.
When it never happened because it wasn't the thing that existed.
You guys are...
Oh, you're talking about Acid Storm, right? You're talking about the Hasbro Acid Storm. Okay, what about...
What else did you think I was talking about? Exactly. The Toys R Us exclusive. So,
remember that toy.
But, like, if you remember how, when that was revealed, it goes beyond just the usual places. It's a pop culture event, almost. It's in all different magazines. And I feel like this...
Yeah, also you knew it was potential. Real because you were looking at the damn thing. That's a slight difference.
Yes.
I don't know if it was a custom, but that's what I mean. Like, when when this actually drops, like you feel like it will be picked up by news outlets beyond just this, and you feel like it generates. I mean, just look at the buzz this like possibly fake photo has generated. Like, man, I'm excited at the thought of what that could do.
I think G1 Megatron might do more for that. If it was, if they did a gun mode G1 Megatron in Japan that was articulated and was a big thing, that might be more.
Yeah, I think that'd be for us, and for probably it would go quite high. I just feel like Optimus Prime is such an icon; it carries itself across different news outlets.
As a story, you can see Western publications saying something like "toy that could never be produced now is being re-released in Japan." You know, popular Transformers character that could never come out in the West being released in Japan with extra bells and whistles.
Now you see Hasbro kills kids. That's what you see the headline saying. Toy guns. No, yeah, that's a really good point. Actually, I feel like it'd be quite a big thing, wouldn't it?
I really, really wish that the first I'd heard of this was from a toy show and it was someone taking pictures of this thing, because I'd love to see that right now. I'm not sure it'd make a difference in the long run, like you were saying, but just would be really lovely. And I do prefer that to this fuzzy, inconclusive, will you be pleased? Will you be heartbroken? This tells you what you really could have had. It's definitely a bully. Here's what you could have won a little bit. That's a very possible outcome for this.
I would definitely prefer to know it's real, but I don't mind at the same time. Not.
What if it's all plastic? No paint, no chrome, plastic wheels, that sort of thing. It's the right shape. It's the right look. But it's and it's really affordable, like maybe £80 or something like that to import. So it's not going to fool anyone into thinking it's G1 Prime if they see it on your display. But it's the same shape, it's the same scale, it transforms the same, but it does this extra stuff. Will you still be really into that?
Well, I will say, firstly, it's definitely got chrome in the pictures.
Looks that way, doesn't it?
100%.
Like the headlights definitely look like chrome.
I'm
photoshopped.
Yeah. I'm also going to go out on a limb and say I think those are rubber tires. Just looking at it,
they've brought that back on Legacy toys now. They've started bringing back rubber tires. So
I don't know how you would, or why you would have the chrome kind of hubcap or whatever, and then have a sort of black ring around it.
It's trying to evoke memories of your G1 Prime, isn't it? It's trying to tell you that that's what you're looking at in truck mode. It's true. I'd be amazed if they went down the route, which again just takes us back to the original questions then.
100%.
Like, where would this end?
Yeah. I think, to answer your question, if it was all plastic, I'd be a little bit disappointed. I'm sure I'd still enjoy it. I think the size is more important to me than anything.
Yeah.
I think as long as it's the right size and it's got the right feel, I would love it to be die-cast, but maybe it won't be. I don't know, but it's still exciting.
I think I'd be quite disappointed if it wasn't, but I'd still like it. But one of the things from the images that I love is that I can feel it almost, like, because I know so much how that toy feels, and I think it'd be a shame to not have that.
Yep.
Because it's such a tactile toy. You know it so well and how that feels in that metal. I'd be amazed if they didn't have diecast.
Do you think it's for the 40th anniversary?
It's gotta be, isn't
it? I would have thought so. I guess it's a tough one because they're talking about a date in what was it, August, or I can't remember.
May, August, something like that.
Yeah. Who's to say? It strikes me that we know big things are going to happen for the 40th. This seems like a perfect project for it. Maybe.
So, would they reveal this in this fashion? Imagine this is the high-res version, the solicit. Imagine it was the solicit, the proper official one, like we got for the recent masterpieces. And it's in high-res, and you've got all the details. You can read all the text. It's got the name of the series. Would they put all of this out before they've got an official 40th anniversary branding done? And wouldn't this have 40th anniversary branding on it for the official solicit?
You would have thought so, but then Masterpiece didn't have...
It didn't have 20th anniversary
on it, did it? It did the 20th anniversary Prime, the Hasbro version, but Takara didn't put... and same for 2010... they just called it 2010, didn't they? And that
but it had a logo and it was on the box.
It did have a logo, actually, yeah. Maybe
even 20th anniversary had a logo and it was
sort
on the
of
box.
counteracting my own point there. But 20th anniversary didn't. So
it had a logo?
You're right. 20th did.
Yes, even on all the Superlink boxes. It's on the reissue boxes.
You're right.
It's on Bible
You're right. No, you are right. I take it back. I take it back.
Masterpiece Optimus, the Hasbro version, wasn't it?
I take it back. The Hasbro one, yeah.
It's called 20th Anniversary Prime, isn't it?
Yeah. The Hasbro one is. No, I take it back. Maybe they would then. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. You feel like it's something they've been shouting at somewhere. They've been revealing, maybe slightly earlier so Hasbro could show it off at SDCC or something where it'd get the most news.
Yeah, I'd love for next week to roll around based on our recording time. By the time this episode is out, you're going to probably know. Because if the 9th of August rolls around and nothing happens, you're going to know what the deal is. But
we'll be sat there like, the party pop is just really sad.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a really rubbish non-reveal. But
TFN will be like a wake, won't it?
For some of us,
yeah. Well, that's the spirit. But look, I think regardless of whatever this thing is or isn't or whatever, I do kind of take your point from earlier, Liam, is that it's been fun to speculate and kind of chat about. Right now, I think we're all feeling pretty hopeful about what this thing might be. By the time you're listening to this, you may already know the truth. So do kind of bear with us a little bit on that if that's the case. But hopefully you've enjoyed the discussion all the same. So
but I do want a quick round robin from us to say, are you happy to see this such a thing first appear in this way? Like, is it cool with you, considering where we are right now in the chronology of what we know about it? Like,
as opposed to like a high def reveal or a convention reveal,
or just far closer to release.
I see. Yeah, I'm cool with it. It's prompted a lot of interesting discussion. So yeah.
I don't mind. It's like I've enjoyed this, and I feel like even if it's not real, this will be something we talk about in like 5 years and laugh about.
Do you like all the places it's taken the discussion in the community?
Yes, because I feel like it's brought back almost like a smile to the community that's been gone for a while. There's an excitement in the air. There's like a feeling, a buzz that we haven't had for ages. And at the very least, there's this feeling like, even if it wasn't real, someone at Hasbro or Takara must see this sort of thing now and go, look at that buzz. God. There is money on the bloody table.
Even in the most cynical of circles that I speak, I feel like this is a topic that can be brought up and discussed with a degree of positivity, and you'll get positive responses and discussion.
100%.
It won't get shut down immediately as cynics would of something that maybe is more obviously not exciting. Yeah. So I too am glad that it's a thing that we're even talking about. And even if it turns out to be a hoax, still kind of glad that it's been a thing that we've all talked about and looked at and thought about as a reality, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a moment we'll always have,
Okay.
It's one of the things.
And now the final question, Sixo, do you think it's real?
I do. I think the Prime is real, not the Megatron.
Liam?
I do. The only thing that's making me think otherwise is the Missing Link logo. Something about it just looks off. But otherwise,
I think it's real as well, for what it's worth.
I think you've got to dare to keep all your dreams alive.
He's got to have the last word, hasn't he?
I do. Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's what they should have called it, the last word.
The last
Not
word.
Missing Link.
The last chance. I nearly said earlier when you said about, is this the last chance? I was like, call it that. Transformers, the last chance. Because you'll be dead.
Yeah. You'll never see Slugslinger.
You old bastards.
So that's all we've got to say on the subject of this, I say new, Missing Link reveal. It won't be new to you by the time you hear this episode, and you might know the full story. But it's been a really enjoyable discussion around how the community has reacted to this reveal because of how exciting it is or could be, and all the places our minds have gone, and all the discussion that's come out of what it could mean for collecting. Because to us, it's quite significant, I think, as the kind of fans that we are. So it'd be interesting to hear from you guys as well, see how it's landed with you. But now is a really good time to mention our Patreon, which is patreon.com/triple takeover, where you can get so much more from the content that we produce. You get everything that you get publicly, but you can get it early, as well as exclusive content about very specific niche, like sub-Transformers topics, but also other toy lines, comics, that's other media. It's not just toys. And of course, you can commission minisodes. So if there's something you want to hear, then you can tell us and we will do like a minisode on that. It can be anything between 30 and an hour. So, there's loads of content there. You can join our Discord and talk about subjects like this in a space that is extremely positive and exciting. And even a lot of the things we've brought up, the points we've mentioned today, have originated on our Discord. That's where we see them first, and that's where we will talk about them on a daily basis. And we're on there all the time. So patreon.com/triple takeover, big perk. Another big perk is, of course, that you get to ask a question on the pod. So this episode's question comes from Riley Lentz, and Riley asks, if Hasbro, Takara, or any third-party company were to create a line using the G1 toy aesthetic, like Fans Project's Retro Future line, what characters would you like to see in that line? Relevant, no?
Wow.
Ooh.
That's time limit. Yeah. What characters would we love to see? All of G1. Just literally give me the whole thing. No, joking aside. I don't know. I was thinking about this earlier, actually, and I didn't mention it, but in regards like Missing Link, which is basically what the question is kind of asking about, isn't it? What bit of G1 would I like to see? In some ways, I'd love to just, I feel bad saying this, but I'd love to just see the 1984 and 85 guys done, because of all the real cars and all of that. I think it'd be fantastic. There's a temptation to say, give us headmasters and stuff like that, but I don't know. It's almost lovely to think that they could just go through and just do those classic ones, and that's not normally the bit that I'm most interested in.
I wonder if this question is actually talking about what new characters we'd like to see in the G1 aesthetic.
Oh,
okay. Like with Fans Project
Oh.
doing the Glacial bots, that was a third-party company basically putting things back into the 80s in that kind of... So something like a Lockdown or Bisque, but in your blocky G1 style. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, Bisque would be my answer.
yeah. It'd be great to see. Bulkhead?
Right.
Like an animated or prime Bulkhead. A lot of people would... That's been talked about a few times. I think Barricade from 2007 is another one that people like, with the Prowl sort of aesthetic, for example, but the black police car. That would be interesting to see.
Oh, this is tough. Probably something like Tarn. I'd love to see how you do a Tarn, because I think you end up outside of the Takara style vintage, you into more like the Shockwave. That's kind of weird looking futuristic stuff.
Good shout. How about RC, guys?
Yeah. Unicron.
Right, there you go. So thank you, Riley, for that question. It seemed like a really timely one to touch on with this subject. And of course, another perk is that you get a shout out on the roll call, which by this point we would have done at TFN Live. And speaking of that, you will probably by now have heard from us about our slightly different summer schedule for episodes. So obviously the public episodes took a little bit of a break, and we continued doing the Patreon content. So just want to ask you to bear with us with this roll call, that at the time of recording, it won't be as up to date as when you're listening. So there will be new patrons that aren't mentioned in the roll call in this episode, but ironically will have been mentioned at TF Nation, which happened before this episode comes out. So with that in mind, a big thigh goes out to a big thanks to Nick, Danny Roberts, Andy, Preston, Chris, Spiderfather, Adam Shoemaker, Matt, Stephen Perkins, Bad Saturday, Justin Massaro, Dave Dalrymple, Gio Kaiser, Yusufa, John Pearl, Choice of Anthony Carts, Captain R.A., Phil G, Jacques Pelletier, Road to Storm, Stuart Webb, Amar, Laserbeak, Puma the Hunter, Vegemite Mike, Peter Hampson, Shenry, Chris Norris, Jesse Moreno, Nexus, Aaron Swoboda, Billy Gator, Andy Gold, Cold School, Simon Elvin, Joshua's Misha Kid, Cracktastic Plastic, Downvastader, Jeffrey Freeg, Nice Sideburns, Andy, Inbound Lee, John Wood, Kyler Wilmoth, Tim Banerjee, Ben Lewis, Shinsei, Lucas Enkel, Mollis Koenig, Malcolm Hobbs, CNC, Rick 56, Mythic Gears, Zach Lawson, Jason Murray, David Shepard, Esteem, Quick Mix, Josh Bell, Ashpold, Zindios, Christian Hyatt, Mark Alley, Graham Moffat, Connor C, Bert Perotta, Eric Hoyt, Bobby P, Mike Loyacono, Nihar Bat, Tyler Husky, Chris Rodwell, Steve Redmond, Jim Kinsey, Sean T. Siegel, James Pascoe, Ghost Prime, Jickle, MK Tronic, Jordet Walter, Charlie Chappelle, June Marigold, Jonathan Foss, Logic Howard, Alexis Taylor, Windows 6K, Teku James, Tyler Dickinson, Jeremy Woodall, Ross, Jetfire James, Doglunch UK, Menestreaker, Michael Cagle, Dugatron, Squid Catfish, Rob Packerbush, Ali Nunes, Robert R, Duckstar, Heinrad 80, Toy Pocket, Calidus, Michael Brand, Uncharismatic Boar, Cam Lee, Absurd, Miguel Gonzalez, Spider Bob, James Hooks, Brandon Mahaffey, Collecticon, Chup, Goldbolt, Alec Trevelyan 2022, Riley Lentz, Emperor Galvatron, Matthew Deadman, Spencer Butler, Alan Johnson, Anthony Baker, Adam Brady, James Turnham, The Dash Fox, Simon, The Transformer Closet, EMH Richard, Robin Hunt, Carlos Mata, RHA, Logan, Jetfire Prime 760, James Clark, John R, and the Mapes Brothers, who you might recognise. Thank you so much. What a list.
How much time do we have at TFN? Like, can we fit all that in?
That's a good point, actually. Maybe we'll just ask if anyone wants to stay behind and hear it.
Yeah.
We absolutely can fit that in at TFN. Yeah. Don't worry about it.
And also, you know, good for all those patrons who may not be on that list at this point. You got one last shout out. So
yeah,
thank you.
I do love that you've committed to doing it at TFN now, Maz. That gives me a very good feeling for next week.
Yeah, so weird with the timing of this, isn't it?
Yeah. Next week or 2 weeks ago, depending on when you're hearing this. Yeah, exactly. Very strange. But yeah, we also have a sponsor for the evening. That is tfsource.com. Do check them out for all your Transformers and third-party needs.
And I bet they've sold out of MP44 since we've done this.
Probably. Since Liam told everyone it was shite, yeah.
I didn't say it was that bad. I just said it was not for me. There we go. Diplomatic.
Right.
But if you want to be like good pal Abraham from Lincoln, as mentioned earlier, you know, we do have a Redbubble. But I've not got another message this time, but I'm just going to say one of my friends, you know, Cliff from Clifton, did buy a t-shirt, you know, with a Epoxy rocket on it and was rocking that and said it looked great. So you can be like Cliff as well. If you head over to rebel.com/people/triple takeover?
Yeah,
that's our podcast name, isn't it?
That's the name of the podcast. Yeah.
Okay, so if you... Sorry, I've got the giggles now. If you head over to rebel.com/people/triple takeover/explore. Explore. And if you want to talk about what we've discussed in this episode, you know, you want to tell us your hopes and dreams for possible missing link line, you can find us on social media at _takeover on Instagram and the artist formerly known as Twitter. And what's it called these days? X or something?
No, we're not giving any air.
Are you going to bleep that out?
Yes, it is going to get bleeped, 100%.
Okay. Yeah, or you can find us on Facebook, where it's at Triple Takeover, or one word. Lads, where can they find you?
At TFN.
Oh, yeah.
They would have already found you there.
Yeah. Otherwise, at TFsquareone on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
Yeah, assuming that we all survived TFN, then you can find me on... I'm at Sixo TF on all those things. Twitter, whatever it's called these days. Facebook, Instagram. What are the new ones?
Blue Sky.
Threads, some other ones, all of those. YouTube as well.
Mastodon.
I do think it's funny that the middle letter of Sixo, one of the middle letters, is the new name of Twitter. Yeah, he is taking over. But I'm at Toybox Soapbox. Anyway, there's an at.
You've got it twice in your name, you plonker.
That's true.
I should have thought that one through.
Well, that is everything now for Missing Link, and we can't wait to find out what the real story is. You, of course, all know by the time you're listening to this, but the speculation has been fun, and that's basically what this episode has been all about. So catch you next time, and let us know what the deal is at TF Nation.
Well, I've already passed.
It's just part of the confusion. It's just part of the timey-wimey thing.
Timey-wimey shit.
Just insert like a Dr.
Thanks for letting us know at TF Nation.
There's always one pillock, isn't there?
Meh.